Negative 1/2 equals y minus 1. What is the solution for y? What is y? Y equals 1/2. Is it 1/2? Yep. Because 1 minus 1/2, negative 1 minus 1/2 equals 1/2. We're pretty good there. And then finally, on number 4, what do you get when you solve for number 4? What'd you get, Kennedy? T equals 8. Correct. This is exactly what we were doing today. Exactly what we did today. Now, I know, because I'm watching, and I read nonverbal language, and I know number 4 kicks some kiddo's tail. Okay? So let's just look at number 4. What should I do first? And this is kind of like the one that you had to explain how to do on number 2 on today's homework. So what do I have to be able to do first? Before I start moving things around, I have to do what first? Michaela? I have to distribute the 2.5. So this becomes 2.5 times t minus, 2 times 2.5 is 5. Or I could call this plus a negative 5 because I could have changed that right there. Okay? Minus 6 equals 9. Okay? Caden?
What if we didn't just do the 2.5?
Because what? What did you do with it instead?
I just started off with the 6, taking that off.
No. You need to simplify both sides before you start moving them. It might have worked for you right now, okay? But when these problems get harder, that's not going to work so well. You're going to get yourself lost, okay? It's better to simplify both sides first, okay? So at this point, can I do any combinations? Can I combine anything, Landon, first?
Yes. Would it be the 5 and the negative 5 and negative 2?
Sure would, okay? So I have negative 11 plus 2 5/10 t, and I don't like using t's, but it's there. Now that equals now. Now I move, do I deal with the variable first or do I deal with the constant first? And this is what I'm seeing is a problem. On the papers that I looked at that missed something, this is where it got them. So which one of these do I move first? Something that's attached to the variable or a constant? Which one, Caden? Move the constant first. Where this is plus a negative 11, to create that 0 pair, I'm going to add 11 to both sides. Okay, so now I have 2 5/10 t equals 20. Now I deal with the 2 5/10. I got rid of the constant first. I can deal with the 2 5/10. And what is the opposite of multiplication? How do I undo that? Division. So divide both sides by 2 5/10. And that should bring you back to t equals 8. Okay? When you don't know whether, and here's the deal, there's a check system on this. If you will do the check system by substituting the 8 in where the t is at, you will know whether you got it right or wrong. So you won't come to class and we won't grade your papers and you're not going to miss a bunch of them because you've already checked your own work. Okay? Make sure you do the check. Today, we're taking these multi-step and we're taking it to a deeper level. To a deeper level. Because today, you are now going to solve equations where the variable is on both sides. You will solve equations with the variable on both sides. That top slide with the boxes, we're not gonna touch yet. We're gonna get to that in a minute. But let's talk about how we're gonna do these variables on both sides. When you're solving an equation with the variables on both sides, the thing you gotta do is, the ultimate goal is to get all the variables to one side, because you want them on the same side. But before you can start moving that around, and I think I already gave you the steps. So we start out, and this is what you need to know. You start out by simplifying both sides of that equation. We're gonna go do it here in a minute. We're gonna simplify both sides first. Then, the next goal is to get that variable on either the left or the right. All of the variables on one side of that equation, okay? Once that's done, then we solve it, and then we always check our answer, okay? A lot of words, but let's put it to action, because that's when it's gonna start making sense, okay? Look at this one. We're starting out right here. I want all of the variables on one side. That's my step one. So, step one, how do I get all of the x's on one side of the equation? And does it matter which side of that equation I move the x's to? Is it going to matter at all? No, it doesn't. How will I move? So which one do you want to move? Tell me that. Which one do you want to move? 2x, okay. And I want to move it then to the right, correct? How would I do it? How would I do it? How am I going to do it, Caden?
Would you divide it by -2x?
Nope, it's not division. What property is this right here? What property does that say? Subtraction. What is the inverse operation to subtraction? What's the inverse operation? Addition. So I'm going to use the addition property of equality to get rid of this 2x. So meaning I'm going to add 2x to both sides. When I do that, I have 15 equals -5x. Okay, so I did my step one. Do I need to do a step two in this case? Do I need to simplify both sides of the equation? No, it's already simplified, isn't it? Look at it. Is it already simplified? Okay, so I can skip step two and go on to step three. Step three is the solving for x. How do I solve for x? This is now a simple one-step equation. How do I solve for x now?
You divide both sides by 5.
By-
-5.
Divide both sides by -5. Great. That leaves me with x equals what? X equals what? Trenton?
3.
3. Okay. Now, I've done step one. I didn't have to do 2. I did have to do 3. What's step 4 tell you that you have to do? Check. So to check, I substitute the 3 for the x in the original equation. 15 minus 2 times 3 equals -7 times 3. Well, -7 times 3 is what?
21.
-21, good. 15 minus, what is 2 times 3?
6.
This becomes 6. So 15 minus 6 equals, wait a minute.
-3.
Ah, look what happens, guys. Look what happens. We're checking it. 15 minus 6 is going to give me like 9. So that didn't work, did it?
Negative.
And now you know, before you come to class, that did not work. So what was wrong with it? What should that 3 have been?
Negative.
Has to be a negative 3. So you gotta go back up here and fix that. Now, if I do my check, and I turn this into a negative 3, and I turn this one here into, now do I get the right answer?
Yes.
Because now I have 21, and I have 15 plus negative 6, plus add opposite, plus 6 is now 21. So 21 equals 21. Okay? I did the check, and now I know, and I'm not going to miss it on my homework. But had we left it as a positive 3, we were wrong. And you didn't know it until you checked it. Okay? That's why this step is important. It's just as important as every other step. Okay? That's not what I want. How do I get that? That one. I don't want to go to one like that so hard to begin with. Hang on a minute. Okay, we'll be all right. Let's go back. I'm going to go down to here because I don't want to do a really tough one with you yet. I want you to do one that's not so tough on your own before we skip to that really tough one. And how do I? Why is it looking so weird today? I can't get the rest. There it is. Okay. So I want you to do number 1 on your own. Do the number 1. Start.
Yes. Okay, good. So you're gonna use the terms on both sides. You're gonna isolate the variable. You're simplifying both sides before you combine, okay? And so on.
Yes.
This one? So you're gonna distribute it. This one, okay. So you wanna get
Good.
x on one side.
Right.
So how would you do 2x over here?
You got
Or,
it.
yeah, or you could use 2.
Mhm.
Does that make
Good.
sense? Yep. And then I just make it.
Yes.
Because then we would have negative 5x, right? Show your check and your solution.
No, no. Both sides. I'm not going that one. If you're working ahead to that number 2, I'm not coming and answering those questions yet because I'm just asking you to do number 1. That's all I'm asking.
Show the check.
And you gotta show the check. So, you see that? But when we get into that, and then what's on the other side? What's left on the other side? Equals what? Equals 0 plus what? Not plus. Equals. And then because this isn't right. Yeah, no, it isn't. It is incorrect.
Did you have a feeling? Then
Nope. Yes. Did it come back though? Did it check? Yeah, because both sides are gonna be equal to each other, right? So it does check. All right, let's look at this one. Somebody tell me, what do I do? What am I gonna do first, Matthew?
You add negative 2 to x.
Add negative, not negative 2, but negative 2x to both sides. Okay? There's my line. That's my equation. That's my equal sign, okay? Because this is what I'm seeing. You're doing it to one, or you're trying to do it all over here and not move it to the other side of the equation. So, at this point, I have negative 5x. Do you agree? And that equals, well, this is now 0. Do you agree? And so that's going to equal 19 only. Do you agree with that? Okay? So now, what am I going to do next? There's my equal symbol, just so you know. That's what that line stands for. How do I solve it next? Where do I go from here? Paige.
divide by 5.
Divide by
Negative.
-5. Good. Now x equals, well, what is 19 divided by -5? What's it going to be, Emily?
3.8.
Pardon?
3.8.
She says 3.8. I think something's missing with that, though. I think that you may be right, but you're missing something. What's she missing? Negative 3.8. Is that correct? Is that what you got? And the reason I knew that it was negative is because I'm taking a positive and dividing by a negative. And anytime I do that, my solution has to be negative also. Okay? So, I've done steps 1 to 3. I have not done step 4. And that's where I've got to go next. Step 4. Substitute the negative 3.8 for the x on both sides. What is negative 3 times negative 3.8? What is negative 3 times negative 3.8? You've got the calculators. I don't have one up here. So I'm asking you. Reagan, 11.4. Is it positive or negative? You're right, because negative times negative is positive. Okay? 2 times negative 3.8 plus 19, and what do you get? What do you get when you solve the right-hand side of the equation? What do you get?
11.4.
11 and 4/10. Does that check? Are both sides equal? Checks. So here is the answer, and I checked it, and I know it works. Okay? We're stopping right here.